Welcome to the very latest edition of the Premier View Tipperary GAA podcast. Don't forget to give us a follow if you haven't done so already on Twitter. We are at Premier View Pod. On Facebook, our page is the Premier View Podcast, and on Instagram, where we are Premier View Podcast. We have up-to-the-minute news on all things Tip GAA across all our socials, plus the odd giveaway, so don't miss out. If you're a Spotify listener, don't forget to hit follow and also hit the bell so that you never miss a podcast episode.
Hello and welcome to the Premier View Podcast, episode number 112, and it could be our busiest episode yet. Donal Cusack, Martin Brittany, your boys took one hell of a beating at the weekend as the greatest show on earth, or the greatest show on turf, swung back into action with round 2 of games. 24 games, as I think it was, absolute crackers. We had late winners, load of, not so many draws this round, but load of action, goals galore, some load of action on the club where I was flicking between games at games, loads of drama. We have a couple of teams in relegation. We have one or two teams top spot, but by and large there is plenty to play for in round 3. We're going to start at the top of the ladder, senior hurling group 1. Drum and Inch lads, they've certainly made a statement. Your neighbour Sean Smith, I'll come to you there, 2 from 2 for Drum. They'll be surging up the power rankings at this week.
Yeah, because again we're Drum off that flyer, 1-2 there on the board, and I was like, this could be kind of whitewash, but by God, Mullinane, there's something about me. They dogged him, they hit him hard. Like they brought it down to the wire kind of. In the end, it was 5-point victory, 321 to 219. But like Rome looked to pull away, but Mullinane will give anyone any trouble. Like earlier on the year, we probably had Mullinane as one of the maybe kind of favourites to go down. But at the moment they're fighting hard and physically, but the problem was they're probably a bit young in the back line maybe, which probably cost them later on the game. But as the game got going, their backline got into more. But you know, Drumby have to get that win, and that's them now through, we say.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of anti-South bias from the South lads. I think maybe at the start of the year, maybe thinking that Mullinane were maybe favourites for relegation. But I was kind of flicking between this game and another one, and you're kind of drawn into this game because Mullinane were they refused to kind of die. You know, like probably a soft enough second goal probably cost them, but you know they're certainly a lot, and what they face now is you know, I won't call it a do or die battle because you've Nina probably are through already, but you know they have a great opportunity to make preliminary quarter final by beating Nina. It'll be this. Drum and Inch have the top spot in the group, and Brackens are in relegation, so from this group, so great chance for Mullinane.
Yep, great chance for Mullinane to qualify out of the group. Look, I think we were being fair at the start of the year by start of the group stages by questioning them. You know, they lost to Seamus Reen teams 2 years in a row, but they responded. They shoved words down our throat anyway, and and they put in a big performance. Probably conceding a goal fairly early and another soft goal. You know, like as I said, a 5-point win for Drum, but these lads just don't know how to give up, do they? They just, if you're willing to battle all day, you stand every chance of winning a match.
And Mikey O'Shea looked particularly impressive, didn't he, Stephen? In full forward line, he caused a lot of problems there.
Yeah, he's a fantastic hurler. He's and getting, he's really coming into it now. Like he's a grown man now. He's not an underage hurler anymore, and Mullinane looked him to produce the goods, and he's producing them. So he can't do any more than that.
And Sean, just the final word on Drum, maybe back to you. Look, they probably did what they had to do in this group stage, to go through probably a soft enough divisional exit. But would you put them in as real contenders now?
Yeah, they kind of just went out and made kind of blew out against Lockmore, but I always have them in the last. I'm in the top 6 in the county, so like you don't get anyone to play them. Like with the caliber, they're getting their wins on the board. They're doing it impressively. I know Mullinane, but still, they're not kind of having to kind of flat their sleeve to put aside Nina well as well, So David there and kind of looking on other teams now. That's the one thing Drum will like, kind of seeing what else around them.
Yeah, and Gareth, I suppose your commentary's gone a bit viral there with the county champions 2022. Not the best title defence in the world, but that was a cracking game against Ross Gray.
It was a career. I was going to touch on Nina really quickly. I did the game for Clubber there at the weekend, and one thing that really impressed me with Nina was the bench. Jesus, Ben West came off the bench, and Ben, I suppose, been starting for Nina over the last couple of years, and he's been dropped the last few games, and he came on and changed the game the second half. Obviously 5-15 to 1-15. He came on and scored a point, but he's up 2 goals and a point. And Nina, without Tommy Heffern and Jake Morris, they're back in my reckoning. I thought they'd struggled big time without Jake, but they're back in my reckoning now for the county. But yeah, moving on to Kilruane. Listen, I think everyone in the county loved Kilruane winning last year, and coming into this game, I was hoping they'd win as well, because I think they're everyone's kind of favourites as well. Ross Gray for me were probably favourites to go down, but they're safe now, lads. This was an absolute cracker. Shane Fletcher didn't puck the ball for the first 20 minutes. He did end up scoring 2-1 then in the space of 3 or 4 minutes. Ross Gray really showed up. It was Ross Gray last year that showed up. Fletcher, Connor Sheedy was unbelievable wing back. Alan Tynan scored 1-3. If you have to look at Conor Dooley's goal again, lads, goal of the year, was unbelievable. 5 players involved in it. But disappointing for Kilruane. Keane Kelly was back. Craig Morgan was fit. Niall O'Mara was fit. Seamus Hensey came off the bench, got 3 points. It was just, disappointing way for Kilruane to end the year. And lads, I'm telling you, like, you're looking at probably Brackens, Kilruane, at the moment, Templederry and Clouty in relegation. Like, Jesus, I don't think any other relegation in our county is going to have the quality of teams like this.
That's it, exactly. And the 3 to 4 groups here. So you have Toom versus Roscrea. Could Roscrea in the final round of the games, could they cause a bit of a shock there, upset Toom and go through, not just stay up?
100%. If Roscrea beat Toom, I wouldn't be surprised. I was very impressed with Mike Carrickey, in fairness. Mike Carrickey and Roscrea obviously drew the first day. I thought Toom would blow Mike Carrickey away, but Roscrea and Mike Carrickey drawing it all right. 2 teams probably fighting it out for relegation. But I was very impressed with Mike Carrickey, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Roscrea had turned up yesterday, turn up against Toom. Obviously, I think Darren McCarthy might have picked up an injury. I'm not too sure. Toom are through. They might rest 1 or 2 lads. Roscrea could top this group, lads, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, and be well deserved.
Yeah, I think Toom maybe need that highway, go and win the group. Maybe, I know, as I said, Darragh McCarthy, and that was the Toom of like the Friday night so far. Probably didn't reach the heights that they reached in the first game against Kilruane, but got the job done versus Mike Carrickey.
Oh, geez, yeah, and I watched the game now, and Dara again, like 1-7. Like, I have seen talents come through in Tip in the last couple of years, and Dara's come through very quietly. Like, there's been no real, I suppose, massive talk about him. But like, I wouldn't say it's a one-man show this year with Toom, but himself and Jack Delaney. Jack got 3 points in play, but was brutally quiet. And I mean that in the most positive way possible. Dara is just running the show for Toom this year. Everything he touches, and that's that point he got in the sideline. He went left, he went right, he came back to his left. It was unbelievable. But yeah, fair point about Toom. They probably want to, well, look, obviously they don't win all 3 games, but look, if they have a chance to rest 1 or 2 lads, I don't think they'd be stupid enough to, I suppose, play lads with injuries or anything. But all these groups, they're just after teeing up to be absolute belters. And no, I've been very impressed with Toom. A nice young team. I think this year is going to come too soon for them, but they'll definitely be knocking the door there in the next 2 or 3 years for a couple of them Breens, I'd say.
One thing, just for Toom, they're no, I forgot the games, and they kind of rattled in the first 5 or 10 minutes as well. Like, same against McCarthy there, they're down and just rattled them. But McCarthy again, the same as against Roscrea, a lot of wides are kind of killing them in games as well. No, losing my couple of points, and just wides are killing them, same as against Roscrea.
Yeah, and McCarthy been a team over the last couple of years, haven't they shown like they almost they just need that big breakthrough. I suppose there's a bit of Holy Cross about them. They're kind of a lot of kind of underage success and that, like, but it's not, it's like Gar said, it's a very hard championship to break through in, but you just need that kind of landmark win. But at the end of the day, that's a relegation quarter final almost now, the way score difference is working between themselves and the county champions of last year, Kilruane. So they are where they are.
And just with Mike Carrickey, are just I consider them a good solid yardstick as a senior team. If they went down Premier Intermediate, I'd say they'd bounce right back up. They're just too good for Premier Intermediate, and they're probably a small bit lacking a small bit quality to be at the top table in senior. But again, I wouldn't be surprised to beat Kilruane. Now, saying that, Kilruane, the first 25 minutes Kilruane hurled yesterday, it was the county champions that hurled in that first 25 minutes. So I'd imagine if the real Kilruane show up, they will have too much for Mike Carrickey. But Jesus, the way this championship's gone, you couldn't call it.
Exactly. And look, moving on to, are we going to call this the first mini controversy of the weekend? I suppose the Lockmore Holy Cross game, the scoreboard controversy, or we had a bit of it here with Holy Cross maybe kind of going for goals, dropping balls in around the square when they could have maybe a point would have done, and got a very, very valuable draw.
Just on that, before I didn't see the game at all, but on the controversy itself, I think it's absolute nonsense. Now, if anyone from Holy Cross is giving out about it, they're only got themselves to give out about it. I'm probably going to get a load of backlash here.
That's what we want.
this day and age, you have your PROs, you have your social media, I suppose, people looking after the scores, between the fourth officials, the referees, like, Jesus, lads, if they didn't, how did they get a word onto the field? The players are the ones here that are completely blameless. It's the sideline and the committee, whoever. This is completely on their hands. That's an absolute disgrace what happened to Holy Cross players, because that would have gone over the bar and it would have been a well-deserved draw, because again, I did the Holy Cross game against Upperchurch. They were absolute dynamite. So again, this is completely on the sideline and the committee from the Holy Cross point of view. Disgrace, really.
And you see, I see Carl Barrett got the clubber man the match in that one as well. So they were just so close. But Lockmore, I was watching bits and pieces again of this one. They're scoring, lads. They just have runners from everywhere. They just have finishers. Like the McGrath is just so informed. They can, like, no, at one point there's no backlift again on it. Just, it looked like he barely stroked the ball and went 60, 70 yards over the bar. Like, they just, again, like, I suppose they've been around the block so much the last couple of years, but they have to be seen as contenders. The scores that they are putting up are really impressive. I know they're conceding a few as well.
They're being cut open for goals for easy. Like, Holy Cross got 3 and should have got another 3 or 4, to be honest. On that, like, they caught a bar on half forward and got 1-5. And his shooting was unreal. Like, for a lad that we normally corner back, he was slotting him over. Their moving for the score as well was excellent. But, like, again, the score thing, lads on the sideline know the score. Every team has 2 or 3 lads with stats. And, like, someone should be like, we're a point down. Why the fuck is lobbing this in? Like, and everyone going up for it. Like, I don't know. You can't play on scoreboard. I think it's throwing fault. But, like, bounce back. They're capable of scoring. Scored 320 the weekend. Like, that'll win most games the weekend. But just against Lockmore, where they're scoring 30, 40 points, they're kind of struggling. So that's probably Holy Cross.
Yeah, it is a fair point. Frankie McGrath will probably be looking ways to shore up that defence, but they are being cut open by runners again. With due respect to Templederry and Holy Cross, they're probably not seen as real damn ring contenders yet. So Lockmore maybe have that bit of work to do as well, but they'll be happy with a shootout with any team, you think.
Just on Lockmore, I'd have no concern at all from a Lockmore point of view on what they're conceding. Like, I did a game against Templederry. Like, they genuinely just seem to be in second gear, lads. They're like a horse getting ready for the arc at the end of September. They're just having their prep runs, getting ready for the big county final at the end of the year. I'd have no concern whatsoever. They're doing enough to get over the games. And I tell you, when it comes to knockout stage, they won't be conceding 320 or conceding 30 points in games. I just think it's like a cat and mouse kind of thing. And that could be me completely exaggerating now, but they're playing, like, they completely play with Templederry. Templederry scored 4-18. Imagine being Templederry and saying before a game, you're going to score 4-18 against Lockmore. We're still going to lose by 6 points. Like, mother of God, I just think they're my favourites at the moment, and I'd have Nina second favourites if Jake is back, but I think they'll be completely fine defensive-wise come knockout stages.
Yeah, and I suppose the other game in that one was this one was Templederry and Upperchurch. This one was nip and tuck for a long way. Watching this, but again, Templederry just falling short again. I think it was 5 points in the end. Late Upperchurch score, probably swinging it for him. Kind of leaves Upperchurch in a bit of kind of no man's land here. Just looking at the permutation, they're up against Lockmore next, so obviously the toughest one to come. Holy Cross versus Templederry is the other one. I make it if Holy Cross beat Templederry, they'll go through anyway, because even if Upperchurch win. That would put all 4 on 4 points, but the score difference.
Church would need a big win, wouldn't it? Church would need a very 6-7 point win, and Holy Cross
because of the
score difference.
Because of the score difference, so with Holy Cross that they put up a good. So it's third place would be most likely for Upperchurch, but they don't want to. I suppose they probably won't end up in relegation if Holy Cross get the better Templederry. But Templederry, to be the second year in since going up that they'll be in relegation semi-final, but they won't go down easily if they are in that. We'll write them off too early yet and putting them in there.
No, not at all. Like, this Tipperary team, and it's one thing that they've lacked the last couple of years. They've 12 or 13 real top quality senior club hurlers. They're just lacking that strength and depth. And like, still at 118, there's nothing wrong with that kind of scoreline again. But like, looking at their minus 13, like, they need an almighty miracle against the Cross. Like, they need a 12, 13 point turnaround against Upperchurch. So look, I won't be surprised if they won. It won't be enough though. But then again, coming to relegation semi-final, like, if you're Killerwan, or any other crowd, like, you don't want to be meeting Templederry, because these lads, I tell you, they've got a bit of spine they have, and you definitely don't want to be meeting Templederry in the knockout game.
Absolutely. Now, as I suppose one of the other moments of the weekend, definitely Barcelona race into a lead over Kildangan. I ever know go there. I actually
Jesus.
turned it off, I'll be honest, again to some of the other games on, and you flick back 20 minutes later, and there's Kildangan have it back to 2 points, and you go, oh Jesus. And then look, I think Brendan Maher was taken off at half time injured, but he brought himself back on early, and look, the magic is there. It's on the social media. Tis great. They needed a goal from somewhere, but it's like he passed it into the back of the net again, like an ironer, and just kind of chipped it in there perfectly into the corner. Brilliant goal. Keeps them alive and puts them in pole position.
Just on Brendan, a lot of people thought he was taken off injured. He wasn't. Brendan actually ran out in the field for the second half, lads.
Yeah,
he was actually on the field, and he basically fainted. So he fell ill, like he basically just had no energy whatsoever, and he fainted on the field. So, like, I know the backstory to that goal has been, I suppose, the commentary, and then Dennis Kelly called him Lazarus and everything, and me going, oh, mother of God. I swear to God, I said, oh, mother of God, like, came up about 20 times after I heard myself saying it. But for Brendan to fall ill, basically faint, he passed the HIA then, come off the bench with 5 minutes to go, 3 or 4 points down. You could not write this stuff. Like, it was just...
And the momentum completely against them at that stage, because they're after blowing a big lead.
Oh, come here. And just leading up to the last 5-6 minutes, firstly, I had actually my notes here. It was 18 points to 5 in the second half. Like Killangan, steamrolled them. The game was done and dusted. The energy was gone from the game. The atmosphere was gone. And all of a sudden, Dan just goes down the sideline. And how he wasn't pulled and dragged down, I don't know. How Sean Kavanagh wasn't done on him. But lads, Jesus Christ, it was just the greatest drama. I felt like, I don't know, it was my own club or something. It could have happened the other way around. It just we all got completely lost in the moment. But isn't it great though? The whole country's nearly talking about Brendan today and the club hurling and Tip. It's absolutely brilliant. It is.
Absolutely. But look, I've this group open now on the the permutations are nearly endless here. Just I suppose touch on the other game was, I suppose, Sarsfield's dug it out against Clonalty. Sean, could there be any other way for this game? It was going to be close. It could be a bit of an arm wrestle.
Yeah, it was, as I was going to expect, Nick for top, but we kind of finished very strong in the last 5 minutes. Tommy Lyle off the bench got 2 points, and Shawnee Butler got a point, so got 4 points running in home there. Kind of similar against Double Church, finished strong the last 5-10 minutes, kept to the game plan, kept working the ball. The score came, could have been finished with a goal as well, but Clonalty maybe lacking a bit of power up front. Burke he got everything in the second half from play and from freeze. Jack Rymadoff with a nasty injury actually went over, saying his ankle. He would plan to play on, couldn't move, then eventually went off, so he wasn't firing right for him. So they're kind of locking in the firepower. But like Clonalty, they'll keep in the game, and like we had to literally dig deep and got the win. And Darrell Statham with 1-3. Some of his striking there was excellent. His wrist work. But Dennis Marin for backline came out 3 or 4 balls at the very end as well. So like, good win, good to get. Like, it was kind of a relegation game in such a way that we could lose that and we're kind of in relegation battle. Now we're kind of a chance now of getting out, maybe avoiding the Primary as well with this. So see how it goes.
Yeah, and not to give too much away, I think you're sneakily down the power rankings a bit there. I'd have you that bit further up, but I think like you're kind of like cozily coming up the outside rail there. Maybe you might have a preliminary, but you might.
Yeah, come here. They're like a well-handicapped horse. I tell you that much. That's what they're.
You're on about a lot more. I put Stars in that bracket as well. They know exactly what the end game there is now. So you used a few as well this early, Sean. So I think you used 4 subs, wasn't it? So might be
James Armstrong also started the game there in the back line. So we're kind of going through our team, but we kind of added a few to Premier to meet us since well that we're kind of injured on holidays. So it's the way it's going to be, like, especially these games. We're going to 4-5 subs in these games because they're so intense. Last 10 minutes of that game, the ball is up and down the field. Like, watching a few lads text me, they're watching on Club and said, geez, the ball's in play there non-stop last 10 minutes. It's just action-packed. Like, that's credit to both teams, both fitness of both teams as well. Like,
absolutely. And I suppose, Gareth, just on the final stage, it'll be Clonalty versus Kildangan. Where they have Clonalty at all, their form is just so in and out this year. They look so impressive at times, and then like losing a North final, kind of turning up then the first game, and then kind of suffering that defeat kind of late on yesterday as well. And now they have another must-win game versus Clonalty.
And look, I'd never write Clonalty off, but this is one game now in 2 weeks' time. Killang will win it, and I'm going to be bold enough to say it. Killang that turned up in the second half yesterday, lads, it was absolutely scary, and I mean scary. Now, I know obviously Bursley were probably a bit sidetracked with Brendan going off, and they did loads of positional changes, but when the real Killang turned up, lads, they're absolutely scary the way they're able to swing ball around. Clowney again, they kind of flattered to deceive yesterday. They had plenty of chances. They did loads of wides. I was watching the game last night, loads of wides. They didn't have enough outside Cottleburke either, going forward. And again, Thurles, they were a cat and mouse. It was like Thurles knew, right, we'll turn on here for the last 5 minutes, get a couple of scores. Again, Dara Sakin was unbelievable, but Killangen for me will beat Clowney, and Killangen they'll go through automatically into semi or into quarter final. They traverse Lee and Thurles, geez, I couldn't call that now. Thurles will be safe enough. They won't get relegated, so they won't have to, or they won't have to go into relegation. They'll have the trump card, obviously, but Killangen will be Clowney. That I'm very sure of now. And again, I no disrespect to anyone from Clowney, just I didn't see enough of them yesterday.
That's fair. That's fair enough. And I suppose Bars versus SARS, then that's the third round game here. That's going to be a cracker again. Winner tops the group, gets a quarter final. Well, SARS have the preliminary anyway, but
it would knock Boris out, sure, if SARS and Killangen win.
SARS and Killangen win, so that's a soccer Saturday moment there, isn't it? Kind of, those two games going. Like you'll have to be watching the both of those in pairs, because anything could happen there. Geez, that'd be a perfect Friday night fair, lads, or something like that.
I'll say it to the powers of being Clubber there, see if we can get a panel on a couple of maybe the likes of John Lahey and the lads come in and start Gillette Hurling Saturday or something.
Yeah, Selling's at a loose end there now, so
yeah.
But definitely, and I suppose with all these round 3 games as well, bar the drum group where they don't have to be together or whatever, but the other 3 groups, there's everything's to play for, so all those are going to throw in at the one time, you think. That's going to add to the excitement and the suspense of it as well. There could be, I remember Club St. Mary's, we were on the field a couple of years ago wondering whether we were out or in, such was the tightness, and you could see it really coming down to the same thing. So lads, just going to ask you for your game of the round 3, so I'll just list them all out. You have Drum versus Brackens, which is a dead rubber. Mullinahone versus Nina. Mullinahone need a win to go through. Toom versus Rossgrey. Toom have that potential, group topping opportunity. Moycarkey, Kilruane, county champions from 2022 in possible relegation if they lose that. Lockmore versus Upperchurch. Routine win for Lockmore maybe. Holy Cross versus Templederry. Bars versus SARS. And Kildangan versus Clowney. Just give me one game each.
Thurles personally.
Thurles, yeah. Good one.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, we want to get our win on our thing, and personally have to win. So
that's the pay-per-view, Stephen.
Yeah, you can't look past that one. That's a
on the whole Nina, lads. Come on. Yeah, that's the big one.
That Mullinahone Nina now will be a clash of styles, won't it? Mullinahone be tough, and Nina will want to play hurling. This should some great games on in round 3 in the senior
interesting
division.
To see how Nina approached that one as well. If Mullinahone are in that coming down the straight. But look, time is against us, I suppose, so we have to move on to the Premier Intermediate Championship, the jewel in the crown of the Tipperary Hurling Championship as well. This one's all over, lads, because I was watching Laura and Killinall in the stadium on Sunday, and they both, Laura won out in the end. Look mad for goals, kind of back to their best and all that. They look excellent, but if they don't win at Kilruane or Killinall, could as well. At stages, they look like the likeliest winner as well. But I was really impressed by the standard here.
For me, Killinall are the standout team. I know I was actually speaking with Mr. Kennedy, the Laura goalie there today, and he was completely talking down Laura yesterday. They got a couple of handy goals at the right time. And I tell you one thing, you can make a politician, no problem.
Yeah, but hit a lot of wides as well.
They did, but Laura and Killinall for me are the 2 standout teams at Premier Intermediate, and it'll be the winner. Look, if they met again, I'd say Killinall will overturn it, but Jesus, the right game. I watched it back again last night, and you couldn't, I know we loads of good games at the weekend, but that'd be right up there. And look, listen, two of the best teams, and I think Killinall will have enough. If they meet again, they'll have enough to turn it over, but again, you could never write Laura off either.
Exactly, and the other game, that one was Gorton, who I suppose I thought it'd be a routine win over Portroe, but Portroe now are one of the few teams that are actually confirmed for relegation. They've had a tough run, but look, they're in relegation now, so just your thoughts on them.
Yeah, look, I suppose they're probably everyone's favourites to be one of the four, obviously, with two boys, AJ and Ruan missing. And obviously, any club missing those have been serious trouble. And I'll be honest here, I thought they were going to give a bit of a hocking last night. And like Gurton, who last year's beaten county finalists, Portro got an awful hocking against Killinall. I thought they were going to come down here. And now, look, they never lie down. That's Portro. They'd never lie down. But I was very impressed with Portro last night. A 3-point defeat against last year's county beaten finalists. Look, like I don't want to be nailing my flag to the mast. There's probably two teams, I think, or two standout teams who are in relegation at the moment, and we'll get to the other one, unfortunately, and I don't talk about myself, but Portro. But look, come here, look, if the Portro that turned up yesterday, if that turns up in the relegation semi-final, they could be okay, but at the moment, you'd have to worry for them unless there's a miracle with AJ and Ruan coming back, which I don't know. I haven't heard anything, actually, so...
I'll give you a few minutes rest before we talk about Silver Mines, and I presume Newport after being subjected to that game as well on Saturday. But we'll come back to that later. We'll go to the Group 1 in this, which is St. Mary's, Cashel, Mine and Ballina. I suppose first Mine and Ballina, the two losers from the first round. Ballina, when that Stephen O'Brien was on the field about 20 seconds, I'd say, got a crucial goal. That was just after Conor Bowe went off with an injury. I don't know how serious, but that was a double blow for Mine, and they never recovered.
Yeah, it's a tough time for Mine. All right, especially after the first day, they would have wanted to come out and make amends, because it was a poor performance both on the field and off the field. And the hammer blow there with that goal, it's just when you get in a rut, it's hard to get out of it. You know what I mean? And they seem to be in that rut now. And it's just not looking good for him.
No, like they did no real kicking him, once that goal went in. In the end, look, I suppose like a lot of teams at this, you've a couple of dominant players, and when Bo went off with an injury or stuff, he was, that it was just a massive moment. And then Stephen O'Brien, you'd have 2 more weeks fitness training in him, so Ballina will be looking upwards. They'll be having. The other game was Cashel and St. Mary's. Cashel finished this one really strong. I think they hit 128 in the end. Both teams missing a couple, St. Mary's and Cashel. But I was very impressed with Cashel. I wouldn't know quite where to place them behind maybe Lauren Killinall, but they would be up there now. I think Ollie Moore and coaching them or managing whatever one it is. They look a good, powerful side. And then, I think they'll only get better as the competition goes on.
I thought it was a good statement win yesterday. I was expecting St. Mary's now to turn them over with Cashel down a few lads as well. But that's a huge win, huge statement for them. And they are a big physical team. They're a fit team, and they'll probably be hurting over the Burgess game last year. They were bullied out of it, and they'll want a big response this year from the boys, and they'll be chomping at the bit to get a crack in the knockout stages. And if they keep going, and we have to give them credit. Like we were more on Mine's case 2 weeks ago, because they had so many extra men. But you have to give Cashel huge credit this week, for turning over St. Mary's, being down a couple of good players as well.
Oh, absolutely. And they had big performances. Now St. Mary's weren't bad by any accounts. They just said, Mary's were down a few as well. But like the likes of Paddy Fahy, I think in full forward was just a handful the whole game. Cathal Quinn there as well, and the two Connellys kind of, they're coming into their own, I suppose, as hurlers. So Cashel are probably a team to watch for the remainder of this. The permutations in this one then, just to take St. Mary's, you could go through with 2 points and you could go out with 4 points depending on the score difference going forward. For Mine, it's straightforward. They have to win to avoid relegation, and Ballina have to win to have a pop at. I suppose they don't have to win against Cashel, but a win would help them a long way. Ballina, Cashel as well, and Cashel have to win to secure top spot in that one.
Mine basically have to beat Cashel by what they're looking at here, 11
points. Mine versus Mary's in the last game.
Sorry, Mines versus Mary. Sorry, they have to win by 11 points because there's an 11-point difference there between Ballina. It comes out to head first, doesn't it?
Head first, yeah.
Yeah, so like they have to beat Mary's by 11 points. Look, I'm not going to say anything that the miracles aren't going to happen, but I cannot see that happen at all. Now, all reports, I'm speaking with someone from Mine today, Conor Bowe will be fine for the game. He won't be playing football at this weekend, but he will be fine for the Mary's game. But, Jesus, 11 points to beat Mary's with, that's not going to happen. So, Mine are probably going to be down there in that relegation semi-final. But come here, Balnavery and Stephen O'Brien, like literally in space of 2 minutes, ball went off, O'Brien came on, game was over, done and dusted. So big plus for having him back.
Exactly, and I suppose the next group they'll need the calculators out in the whole of Carrick for the next couple of weeks, Stephen, with the Davins group as well will come to. But the Swan group now, I suppose no team is out in this group as well. So you have Carrick, Swan, Sarsfields, B, Aero who got a much needed win, and Sean Tracy's there, who are, I suppose bringing up the basement at the moment could go through. Again, Sean, Jesus, 1 point defeat in the home of hurling Clonmel against Swan. We knew this one was going to be tight.
Yeah, we're kind of saying it there in our own chat there during the week. Ourselves and Swan's a draw or a point either way, and that's what I thought would be until the free at the end, like the game of the draw, and you give it free for shoulder to shoulder. Like, let's go, ref. Fuck me, this was scandalous. Like the shoulder to shoulder, watch the back like 8 times now. Blow the game up, both teams take a draw. That was it. Gave the free, blew it up. Like, so that's the way it is in them games.
It changes that changes the dynamic of the group completely.
But again, we had a lot of wides ourselves. We win the first half, and then only 2 points up. Couldn't have more up in the second half as well. Just we could have had more scores, but it's just kind of down now the last day and literally calculator, pen and paper, kind of watching what's gone in the other game as well. But it's a group that ain't going to happen. I couldn't call it. It's like Aero coming relegation, or it's top group. It's meant we can relegate top group. It's crazy,
Yeah, and just I don't have it written down who does Sarsfields have in the last round of this?
We're playing Sean Tracy's.
You'd fancy yourselves there, would you? They own a few from the senior, but
have the last many from Saturday night to the seniors.
James Armstrong would have been gone now, so another one. So, but he was kind of always expected to go. So Mickey has gone back in probably in half instead of him. So not too bad a swap, but still.
I was up at the match there. I was very impressed with SARS for long periods of time, and I think had they scored, they had I can't think of who it was there, but he had a wonderful chance. He broke through from under the hospital and threw one on moment of goalie. A fantastic save from Kieran Lunigan, but it should have been finished. And at that stage, they were really on top. They were motoring and cruising, I'd say. But when that goal didn't go in, it just gave the Swan hope, and you just can't give them any hope. And they kept at it, and then the sending off then changed the game completely. But along with a couple of poor wides from SARS in the second half when they kind of got back on top of it. But I thought SARS were very impressive. I thought they really were. And for me, it's just a matter of, can they avoid losing lads to the senior team? And I think they'd get over Sean Tracy's comfortable enough.
Yeah, and for the Swan, then it's Swan Aero. That's nearly a knockout game.
This is a big one.
Yeah, Swan can't go to relegation. We know that much.
No, they're safe. They're safe from relegation, but a winner takes all this game. So this should be a humdinger of a game next weekend or in 2 weeks' time. Both teams will fancy the chances. They'll be confident after the weekend, after the slow start. And I think this is potentially be an absolute brilliant game.
Yeah, and I suppose
they're two very similar teams there, Ogan Swans. Just from watching both of them back, they're walking in the same kind of similar style. So this will be a crack. I fancy the Swans somehow. I don't know why.
And we have the Lonely Hearts ad up on the Premier Review forum for anyone from the West who kind of wants to come on and chat and fight their corner as well. Yeah. As well, so maybe for round 3 of the games we'll have someone from the West on as well to complete to give every division their fair hearing as well. But that ad is still there, so if you want to kind of come on, more than welcome. Yeah. So Aero, look, that was a must-win game for them. They could easily slid into relegation. I suppose they still could, but at least they're looking forward now. The last group, or second to last group in that is Burgess, who haven't had to do too much now, but are 2 from 2. And I suppose, Jesus, I was watching Burgess Newport lads, and they just took over the second half completely. Newport were as bad as I've seen, because I had high hopes after him grabbing a draw in the first game. Even to spring a surprise here, to be perfectly honest, if he would have called it a surprise, but Garrett, oh jeez, were you commentating on this one? Did you have the pleasure of doing this?
I was, and unfortunately, it was definitely the worst game I've done since the season had started. And there's no disrespect to either teams. Look, these things happen. You have bad games, bad days, but I'd say Newport they're just sick, absolutely sick in the stomach. Look, you lose a game, there's no problem losing a game, lads, but when you don't hurl at all, they did not turn anything on at all. They had 8 yellow cards, 1 red card. It was like it's like there was an agenda before the game or something. They were just fighting left, right, and centre. There could have been 20 minutes of injury time played in the first half. The ref, actually, who's the ref? And I can't remember who the ref was, but he blew it up after 32 minutes, and we were laughing there in the commentary box.
It was John
I said,
McCormack. I
said John, and actually, sorry, it was John. I spoke with John after the game, and I say he was just sick of it, absolutely sick of it. Now, a game of hurling did break out eventually in the second half, which was all Burgess lads. Stephen Murray on one leg, he basically pulled a hamstring a couple of weeks ago. He scored 110, 1-2 from play, but sure, Stephen Murray's just class. Like Burgess
Who missed the penalty as well? It was just to sum it up.
Conor O'Mahony, I have to give a shout out to Ronan Tucker. He made two class saves, and then he saved the penalty from from Conor O'Mahony. Ronan was very good, but Burgess up until the 45th minute, Burgess only had one score. Stephen Murray had scored everything, and Burgess were still well in control. It was one of the most strangest games I've ever come across, and I say Newport Mines now in a couple of weeks' time. I have a feeling to be a backlash coming from Newport, and that's not good.
That's a de facto relegation quarter final, Gar. And I suppose, look, Silver Mines are, again, not having a great year. Kind of lost both games. Geez, they got a right hand in here. Looking at the result, 218 to 13 points to Clonakilty. Jesus, that's, I suppose, just win and then put the year behind you.
I don't know where to start with this now. Again, look, obviously I'll be fairly sensitive. Obviously, talk about lads I know and everything, but look, like no disrespect to Clonakilty would be up there, so challenging for a Premier Intermediate this year, and they probably know that themselves. Right, their aim is to get out of the group, but then once you get out of the group, you don't know. But Jesus, it was just one of the most disappointing performances I've seen from a Mines team in I don't know, a decade or even longer. Now I have to say to Brian Lawler and lads, it's the youngest Mines team probably in 20 years. No, that has to be put on record as well. It's the youngest team I've ever come across in my 15-20 years hurling adult hurling with the Mines. But I don't know. I just watched it and I was just in complete shock. The last 15 minutes, and we had 13, 14 wides. But this day and age, 13 or 14 wides isn't too much. But most of them came from Jason, so the other lads weren't even creating the chances to hit the wides. It was just brutally disappointing. Clonakilty fully deserved their 2 points, but yeah, I might move swiftly on from that one.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's the Newport, they can still get through there looking at the remarkable enough, or they can't big swing on score difference.
They need 23 points of a score difference, so
never know.
Here, listen,
well, never know.
This FBD Insurance Championship, anything can bloody happen, so you don't know.
But all right, lads, we'll move swiftly on after that, I suppose, because another jewel of a championship. Stephen, you're a bit conflicted for this one, so we'll go to you first. Davins, you let it slip. You had the chance to go 2 from 2 there, 2 wins straight into a shot at the quarterfinal in the last game. Drum Moss in a late score Friday night kind of leaves you ruin what might have been, and now that this group, lads, all teams I think can go through still.
Yeah, the frustration today, especially after last night's result, is compounded to even more, because I'd say we had 3 opportunities at the end of the game to get the winner, and one of the opportunities was our own making. Mikey Whalen came out of the sky with a brilliant catch, 50 yards from goal, no one on him except his teammate, who absolutely poleaxed him going for the same ball. So the referee gave a indirect free to us. We took it, we won it, we got blocked, but Pa won the rebound again, and to be honest, I thought he was going to just tap it over off his left hand side, but he passed it and we were bottled up and look, game over. But yeah, it was a good game, good tough game. Now, even playing in goal, you can tell how physical and fast it was out in the field. And look, I suppose to take the positive from a disappointing result is we'd have took the hand off you at the start of the year if you said we'd be going into the last game with basically with the ball in their court, we'd have been, rightly so, we'd have been everyone's relegation favourites. But we're on 3 points now. We have a chance the next day to top
4-9 through our veil puts you right there.
Yeah, and weirdly, all 4 teams could finish on 3 points as well. And if that happened, we'd go through as group winners, which could be crazy. But any one of the 4 teams, I think, can top the group, and any one of the 4 teams can be relegated as well. So
And
it was wide open.
the other game that is Arravale, who had a great 1 point win over Knockavilla. So they're back on the horse now. They're back after a heavy defeat in round 1. So again, them and Drum, what you think would be a knockout game either way. I suppose the winner that go through, and probably the winner of the Davins game will go through. Davins and Knockavilla is the easiest way, I suppose, maybe to summarise that group.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Fabulous result for Arravale. Like a great response after the first day, because I know they were disappointed going away the first day, and Johnny Ryan been missing as well. They knew themselves they were going to get stronger. So but I think Knockavilla were still favourites on the day, and they'll be ruining that chance as well. But look, there's 3 rounds for a reason, and everyone has a crack at it now to get through.
Yeah, I suppose onto round 2, where there's an up-and-coming manager, Michael McCarthy, performing miracles in Kappa White. They've won a West Intermediate. I think they're 2 in a row, and now they've beaten Ballingarry to kind of have 1 foot in the quarterfinals as well. Kappa White are flying it.
Yeah, Kappa White are. They bet Ballingarry last year as well. I think I was the year before.
Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's not a major surprise there. But yeah, they're a good team. We played them in the county league up in Kappa White there early in the year. Right, good tough game. So yeah, they're a very good team, and Kappa, they're going to be one of the teams duking it out at the business end.
Yeah, I suppose this is a bit like the Premier Intermediate. There's a lot of good teams in one of the groups, so it kind of might concentrate things a bit. But they have a great chance there to go and win the group there. They have to beat Kildangan B to secure the win there. Golden looking a bit of trouble here in terms of relegation. Again, another West side. They kind of haven't seemed to got going. They were missing a few lads over the summer, but they played Ballingarry now. Ballingarry win and a Kappa White win. They'll go through in 1 and 2 there. But again, I'd fancy Ballingarry to just get the job done there, and I'd be surprised Kildangan B could they cause a surprise maybe against Kappa White last round.
Look, this is like Killangan B. Obviously, last year playing Permanent Intermediate, they just had a lot more quality this year. They're down a lot of bodies. Like the Bull Gleeson didn't even start for Killangan. That's why I'm very impressed Killangan get that win at the weekend. Now Bull only came on at about 10 minutes to go. I'd say it'd be a big shock now if they did get a win. They just seem to be lacking that extra bit of quality they had the years before in Permanent Intermediate. But again, they're a club that, look, they're just as ignorant, and I mean, again, the nicest possible way. Like, they won't lie down at all. These lads, like Neil Callan, deadly from free. Andy Lacknan, Randy played senior there most of his life. He got 3 points played last day. DJ McGrath as well. So, look, I wouldn't write them off, but I would be surprised if they did win.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's no one guaranteed in relegation from that group either. We move on to Group 3, and I suppose I think there is 3 divisional winners in this group. So you have Moneygall, Borland, Kilsheelan, and poor old Shannon Rovers, who drew the short straw in this group, and I think they're consigned to relegation, if I'm not mistaken already. But they're the team that probably everyone else won't want to get in the relegation semi-final, whoever they draw on this. Kilsheelan kind of took care of Shannon Rovers 124-112, and Boherland played out a very entertaining 319-125 draw with Moneygall. So again, thoughts on this one, lads?
Oh, I should love this. Sorry, Borland, Moneygall. Jesus, Borland, we're 7, 8, 9 points up at half time up in Tipperary. Moneygall came back, they were cruising. Borland got a late goal, and then Mark Fanning, he loves the socks up around the knee, Mark does, and he loves an old flick here and there, but he got the equalising point. I still think Moneygall are going to win this county. Shannon Rovers, for me, would be in the top 8 in the county. So whoever gets them in the relegation semi-finals, God help them, they'll be fine. But as you say, talk about short straws, like mother of God, like Jesus, you could not have picked a harder group for the Rovers.
Exactly. But, you could say, the best 3 teams in this, no disrespect to anyone else, are actually in this group.
Oh, geez, they are.
Absolutely, you'd have that down to the start of the year that they would have been the best top 3 teams in the group, and there's the games between themselves have been humdingers, so there's nothing in the first day. Kilsheelan and Borland, and then Moneygall and Borland played out a humdinger of a draw. Kilsheelan, I've seen the Kilsheelan game. They wouldn't be 20 points, but it was more. If you get what I'm trying to say, it was more of a beating than 12 points. They were cruising in the game, and where you'd be fearful from Moneygall, although they are a great team. We played them last year, and to be honest, I, I'm not going to say we robbed them. I think we deserved to win on the day, but they were a fantastic team, and it's the confidence could be the issue with them now going into, you don't want to be losing games, and you don't want to be losing badly either, and you wouldn't fancy playing them again in a relegation semi-final, but they need to manage the confidence now, from losing all the games.
Absolutely, and I suppose the last group there is, I suppose there's some South interest in this one as well, Stephen. So the Barca Kane on 4 points, 2 wins. Skeen Rinky on 2 points. They won, the first game versus Ballybacon. Ballybacon, I won't say it was a surprising win versus Upper Church, but it was a must-win for them in Upper Church, bring up the rear in that last year's Junior A champions. So again, they could be the club that's consigned for the relegation playoffs from that group.
Yeah, I have them down as relegated on my notes here. So maybe I could be wrong on there, but I think Ballybacon Grange would have
all
looked
our
at
friends in Upper Church. That's Stephen's opinion.
but maybe the numbers are wrong.
represented.
Maybe I have them wrong. But I would have, if I was a Ballybacon.
Yeah, they're in the
Grange fan,
relegate. They're in the bottom from that group, but they're not relegated yet.
No. Sorry. I mean they're the certs to finish fourth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Apologies to all the Upper Church boys. Next time I'm in Drumban. But no, if I was a Ballybacon man, I would have been looking at that game thinking that's where we get the win. Coming up from Junior A up to intermediate and then losing James Barry would be a blow to any team, and his experience alone would have been valuable. But so I wouldn't have been too surprised with that result. And I think I'd say it. I suppose I think Upper Church are probably, they're probably the team you'd want to meet in a semi-final of the relegation if you got there yourselves.
Yeah, and I'm actually just looking at the table there, man. Maybe a 20-point win for Upper Church in their last game versus Barca Kane might get them out of it. But again, put it on the dressing room wall, I suppose, if you want some motivation there. On that one, right, lads? I suppose that's all the games reviewed and previewed. How are we going to watch all these games, Gar?
I'm going to have a big round table meeting with Jimmy and Lara in the morning to make sure we've split screens and to let soccer Saturdays and everything. I don't know. And like as you said earlier on, like I didn't even consider it. For most of these group games are going to be on the same time. So like I know from a clubber point of view, I don't know what the lads are going to do. Like we'll probably like we were actually talking there this morning saying, look, trying to just cover the meaningful games. But then we've got the pen and paper out. We realise there's 22 meaningful games. So it could be a thing. I know there's 33 games on in total in Clubber the weekend gone across 5 counties. There could be, I wouldn't put past Jimmy's man in the brush. He could have all 22 games on Clubber in 2 weeks' time. But look, there'll probably be 14, 16, if not more. I don't know. But lads, come here. Like I think he put it up there on Twitter or something there yesterday. Like it has to be this year anyway. It has to be the most competitive club championship in any code in any county in the country. And look, again, I've been fairly critical towards the county board last couple of years, just on I suppose the marketing and kind of side of things and other bits and bobs. But what they've done the last year or two, obviously, we did the regrading of the 16. They've turned the social media and marketing side things around unbelievably. I just think we have this absolute cream of the crop here, and it's not going anywhere. And I just hope to God nothing changes with the inter-county scene, because this is, like, I'm 33 now on Wednesday, so you can hold the birthday cards there for a couple of days. But this is by far the greatest championship I've ever seen in my time on this planet. So long may it last.
It has the certainty. Players know when they're going to be playing. The 3 games are mapped out, and every probably two weeks after that, it gives the certainty that was surely lacking, for years. And it was just really bad at times. You could have one game in April or whatever, one championship division, and then nothing again till August, September, and then 3 games in a week, whatever like that. So it just gives so much certainty. But the quality has definitely gone up as well, and some of the clips that are going up as well. I should have said, geez, Peter McGarry, the goal he got yesterday as well. In a normal club weekend, you'd be looking, it'd be going viral, but it was just brilliant. The standard, seeing the crowds in Care again last night, and the crowds at the club, like generally they're really good, and the weather's playing ball a bit. It's turning, that'll only build and grow as well.
And come here, just on that, like I suppose a lot of counties over the last couple of years when COVID went away or whatever, they were kind of reluctant to go to the streaming, and I could see the point in it, right? we're ringing streaming, lads aren't going to go to games and they're not going to spend the money. But lads, the crowds at the games have just been incredible. And like obviously the figures for club are doing decent enough as well, the viewing figures. Like it just goes to show, if you get the product out there, you market it right and you produce it right, the players in the field will always produce the goods. So it's up to the people to talk obviously with their hands on their laptops and with their feet at games. Like the crowds at games have just been phenomenal. So just fair play to all the people in their clubs and the neutrals and everything going to the games. It's just been incredible. It has. So yeah, long may it last. Yeah,
And
Exactly.
I just think on the crowd, I think it's because like during the week now, I'll watch back more games again on club. I'm like, geez, and then I go to games, and then you watch them back again. Like it's not affecting football. I think what's is bringing more people to the games because I see an intermediate game where geez, that was a cracker. I tip in so and watch that, and then watch another game back. Like, that's the way it is, isn't it?
It's building a bit of a relationship with the games you can see with the championships as well. You know, it's getting you involved because you're watching teams and you know the scores as well. You're tracking progress as well. So I said, look, this is all part of it. The podcast plays a very small role in it as well, and the social media, great job. It's all promotion. So I
just want to mention as well, lads, to yourselves. Look, I know I'm a guest here and everything, but like obviously in club we're sharing all our stuff on social media and putting our clips out. And obviously, look, the views are incredible. Like on my own Instagram page, I think I've 300,000 views on the few videos I put up in the last 4 weeks. It's mental. But fair play to you for sharing and resharing and giving credit and everything. Because look, club are obviously trying to make an investment here with the county board, but everyone needs to play their part, and that's not people going to games and resharing it. With yourselves, like you don't just play a small part, as controversial as you are, you play a fair part, so fair play to you. And again, look, long may all these relationships last.
Exactly, thanks a million. And I suppose the last big shout out to Clonmalogue as well, in their maiden Junior A South final. Stephen's looking over the shoulder there. Clonmel going to become the new powerhouse of hurling there with the Noisy Neighbour start up as well. So they did a good win over Care as well. So Column's crew who'd be on now and again. So you know, fair play to them, lads. Plenty of action now. You've all given your game of the week from the senior. So look, we'll be keep an eye on the socials and all that. But thanks a million.
Yeah, just before we go, lads, just a small announcement, I suppose, from Clubber and kind of in conjunction with CK Streaming. We had a chat today, and we're going to be bringing live county final previews for the hurling and football. It's going to be in association with the Hibernian Inn inside Nina. So look, whenever obviously the closer to the dates, we'll announce it over social media. But we're going to be having, I suppose, for the hurling, you'll have someone from the mid, north, south, east and west, or east and west. Jesus, north, south, mid, and west. It'll be a live show. You can buy tickets going to it, and I suppose, look, what we're going to be doing is selling the tickets, obviously, for the live event, and all proceeds will be going to the Dylan Quirk Foundation for both the hurling finals and the football finals. So just want to say thanks very much to Kieran Morris inside the Hibernian Inn and Clover and CK Streaming, and hopefully, look, closer to time we'll announce more details. But look, there should be absolute belters, a bit of crack, a bit of fun in the night, and obviously good, more money raised for the Dylan Quirk Foundation.
Exactly. Thanks a million. Fair play to all involved in that great cause. And you know, the Dylan Quirk Foundation, they have a few events going on over the summer, so if you see the bucket or whatnot, try and give a few quid. Thanks all, lads.
Ciao, lads.